The mail is building up again and starting to overflow, so I'm going to see if I can knock some of that down, starting with USB cable. But I don't know, this is kind of a small package. What? That's not a USB cable, although this is very good timing. These are little cleanout rods and some of them have brushes. I ordered a couple of different sets like this, and I need it to clean out the carburetor on my lawnmower. Right now it's time to start mowing for the season, and I had trouble at the end of last year, and the lawnmower I have, I looked it up and it's known for having certain issues, so I thought this year I'm just going to get the correct tool. Last year I had to use a needle and try to clean out the jets. I'm probably going to use this 2 days from now. 15 stainless steel Carb carburetor cleaning brushes kit, small wire needle brush. This listing says $3.74. I got it for $2.55 from Gaga Outlet EB. Those brushes can help clean off parts, and those little wire rods can go into small openings, nozzles, jets, and clean them out. Ideal for cleaning small needle-sized passages in carburetors. Stainless steel needles clear away the blockages. I wonder if these would also work for cleaning spray paint nozzles. I've had those get clogged up on me before. And here is a package of rubber rings. Now, the only thing I remember like that is a bunch of grommets. Yes. If I start putting projects in enclosures finally, now I can drill a hole, and after I file it down a bit, I can insert this in the enclosure and then wires can pass through, and I don't know how many are in here, a lot, considering how many projects I would be doing anytime soon. So these will go in a tray somewhere, and sooner or later I'm going to need those and I'll have them. 100 pieces, 3 or 6 millimeter, I believe that's the inner diameter. Black or white are available. Double-sided rubber cable wiring grommet gasket ring. This is listed at $3.42. I paid $3.25 for the black color and the bigger 6 millimeter inner diameter and 12 millimeter outer diameter from the ominous sounding wholesale shop 666. Used to protect cables running through metal panels. Inner and outer diameter 6 and 12 millimeters. The thickness 5.5 millimeters, made of rubber, and you get 100 plus or minus 2. So far we've got mechanical parts, but this one promises to be an electronic module. And there it is. DC to DC something, and kind of a part number, I think. I think this is a 5 volt, 1 watt isolated DC supply. So you would give it 5 volts in and get 5 volts isolated out. I bought this with DMX isolation in mind, so that if I have a DMX Arduino circuit and it's going to be plugged into this long DMX cable that goes who knows where, it's good to have both the power and the I/O signals communication lines isolated, so my circuit's protected, and if my circuit does something weird, it won't necessarily be able to impact anything on the other end. So it's good to have isolation in certain cases like that, where you're going off your own board out into the unknown world. New Z3B0505S 1 watt DC to DC 5 volt power supply module isolated converter. Buying in quantity 1 would be $1.85. I got it at auction for $1.33 from C. Enjoy buying. So these take an input voltage nominal 5 volts and they give an isolated 5 volts out. The output current can be 20 to 200 milliamps. And there's going to be some ripple on this. Looking at Maxim Integrated, they sell similar products. Just for some info, isolated power supplies transfer power from one circuit to another without a direct connection between the two. So this isolation can help protect the loads and equipment operators from exposure to high voltages. Prevents ground loops because you are isolated, so there's no common ground. So when you do want physical isolation, no electrical connectivity between two sides of a circuit, you would isolate the power and the signals if there are data signals. And if there's any sudden high voltage spikes or other electrical faults on one side or the other, this will give a measure of protection. So this one is a Mornsun product. 5 volts in, 5 volts out, 1 watt power handling. And this one's unregulated, so if I needed something with less ripple and a steady regulated voltage, maybe I could get one that takes 12 volts in if I had 12 volts available, and then I would use a 5 volt LDO or something to get my more stable supply on this isolated side. Or I can just look for one that takes 5 volts in, gives 5 volts regulated out. So they point out here for the applications, this type of product here is okay when you don't need low ripple and regulated voltage. That's okay for my purposes right now. So I've got 5 volts in and 5 volts out. So my input capacitor would be maybe 4.7 micro and my output would be 10 micro. So this line in the middle represents an isolation barrier. You give 5 volts in my case, and then you get 5 volts nominal out, isolated. This is other computer accessory, but it feels round. It's probably a certain kind of tape. Yep. I ordered 2 similar kinds of tape like this. I think one's red and this one's blue. I think they are supposed to be, at least one of them is supposed to be thermally adhesive and double-sided. So maybe you could use it to attach heat sinks onto components. And it's supposed to be very thin as well. And the other, it's already sticky on this edge. And the other good use for really thin double-sided tape, even if it doesn't have good thermal properties, and I have seen some videos where some people did tests and found, yeah, this wasn't really doing good thermal transfer. But still, if you have an application where you just need sticky tape without any other kind of properties, and it's really thin, like if you're trying to glue down an LCD display into a certain bezel frame, you just need a really thin sticky tape, this might do the job. It's certainly sticking to this plastic wrap. 8mm thermal conductive double-sided tape for heatsink chipset LED GPU. This listing is $3.85. I got it for $2.45 from gelivable.2u. Supposed to have high thermal conductivity and stability, service life of at least 5 years, up to 120 degrees Celsius. You apply this between a heatsink and a component to improve heat dissipation, so it says. Material glass cloth, adhesive acrylic. So this one's 8mm wide and 25 meters long of a roll, and it's 0.2 millimeters thick. So if it doesn't actually perform well for heat sinks, it's still double-sided thin tape that's probably got a lot of good uses. This is described as a whole string of letters and numbers. It's probably some part number. So, oh, I've been waiting for this one. This is a capacitive touch keypad. And lately I've been doing projects with push buttons again. And although it's convenient to have a bunch of those tactile push buttons on the breadboard, I still find it awkward to get them all set up and there's cables all over the place. But if this works well, here's 16 push buttons right here with an interface chip, and I could just put one single row of headers, however many I need, and it'll be a lot neater to deal with, hopefully. 8229 BSF is the chip on here. Some configuration resistors, it looks like an LED, some unpopulated headers, out 8 down to 1, and then looks like I2C, serial clock data, power ground. So let's look this up. 16-channel TTP229 digital capacitive switch touch sensor module. I got this for $1.45 from CCTV 008008. So this is the capacitive touch sensor chip. We have 16 touch plates for switches. It can work 2.4 to 5.5 volts. Sounds good for Arduino. And I haven't researched it a lot, but there's different ways to run this. You can use it with just 8 outputs or all 16. And I think there's jumpers to configure here. When I tried skimming one of these data sheets, It looks like there's a lot of info to absorb, so I'll have to do this in the future. I know there's some Arduino libraries out there that should make it a lot easier to deal with. 8 or 16 key input mode is selected via a resistor on a key select pin to VSS. Another is selected 16 keys input mode that has used a high value resistor connected to VSS. So yeah, I need to have a clearer head to read all this. Output mode, 8 pins direct mode, and I2C interface mode. So if you're using 16 inputs, you can only do the I2C because you don't have 16 discrete outputs. If you're using 8 key mode, you can use I2C or the 8 discrete outputs. So I'm not sure if I'll ever use it in discrete 8 output mode. Maybe I'll always use I2C unless there's some reason that I can't use that bus. But this is really going to be useful if I can get it going. Electrical cutting plier jewelry accessory. Okay, so I know I ordered pliers and wire cutters. I decided just to have a look at how the quality is on some of these low-cost things on eBay. Oh, they wrapped the pointy end. Let's see. These look very common. I've probably got several pairs just like this. It's got an okay springy action to it. They have a maximum 1 millimeter diameter copper wire that this tool is recommended for. Plato Model 170 shears. They appear to be flush cut, so I could go right against the circuit board if I want and shear off a lead, control the height, and the resistor test. Oh yeah, those feel brand new, sharp, perfect. But let's see how they hold up after so much use in the future. Electrical cutting plier, jewelry wire cable cutter, side snips, flush pliers tool. This listing is Canadian $254, but I paid $227 from Maxiaway 2012. And that looks exactly like the cutting tip that I've got. And so far so good for how they feel when doing a couple of test cuts. So hopefully they hold up, but if not, then just for a couple of dollars, keeping them around, I can probably use them to cut plastic, like separating pin headers from a strip, things like that. Stainless steel jaw, anti-slip rubber handle, that's blue. Integrated circuit. I've ordered a bunch of TTL and CMOS chips lately because I started getting back into that. Oh, leave us feedback or something. We aim for a 5-star service. Don't leave neutral or negative feedback. Okay. And okay, there we go. And I sliced partly through this when opening it, but that's okay. I can't see through the tube. There we go. CD 4077BE. Can't remember exactly which gate that is. It might be something like a NOR or an OR, because that's what I was using recently, and realized I'm missing a couple of things I would like to have. I need to fill in the blanks. I ordered a bunch of logic chips like this probably just over a year ago, so now I need to go and fill in even more blanks. At least they used allegedly anti-static tubing. 10 pieces, CD 4077, DIP 14 pin package, CMOS, quad, exclusive OR, and exclusive NOR? Well, the 10 of these, $4.69 from IC Market 2009. But which of these are true? Well, the data sheet has CD 4070 and 4077, and they describe this as quad exclusive OR and exclusive NOR. The 4077 is exclusive NOR. The 4070 is the exclusive OR. So that listing was a little deceiving, but this is the part I got, so it's exclusive NOR. I wanted these to expand my collection of logic gates. I recently had a need for one of these, and I didn't have one on hand, so I had to construct one similar to this, and it was really tedious. So little by little, I'm building up the collection, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of uses for something like this. And I'll try not to cut into this one, module times 1. And it is a module. So, no idea what it is, but it looks like a regulator circuit on the back, USB, and a chip. So let's go dig out the info on this. STM8, big part number, minimum system development board module for Arduino. $1.45 from CCTV 008008. So it's an STM8 development board, and I've not researched this, so this will be something to look into. Just branching out from traditional Atmel-based Arduino stuff. And for $1.45, I'm definitely interested in checking this out. It's an 8-bit microcontroller from ST Micro. They are particularly low cost, full-featured microcontrollers. Low cost and full-featured sounds good. I noticed they did not send pin headers here. I'm going to have to dig out my own. But there's all the stuff we get today. Some mechanical stuff, some practical stuff that I can use immediately, something to make my life a little easier, some more tools, some more parts, and this module. I'm trying to do more projects lately as well as just collecting stuff, so hopefully I can find some good uses for this. I think this capacitive touch switch is going to have the most use near term. So that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by. Special thanks to Patreon supporters for helping make all this come true. And let's just see what happens over the next couple of weeks. See if I can get some stuff up and running. I better go put some of this stuff away before it falls on the floor and I can never locate it again. Things just have a way of disappearing. So stay tuned for more projects coming soon.